This is the Lotus Emira 420 Sport. It's the most powerful Emira yet. Today I'm going to test it and find out if it's also the best. One thing I can tell you already is that this car looks absolutely sensational. We've got Tangelo orange paint, carbon fibre pack, 20-inch forged alloy wheels. Now Lotus is always punched above the weight when it comes to the visuals, and this car is no exception. But it does mark something of a U-turn for Lotus, and that's because it's got an engine. Now, plenty of car makers have had a challenging time going electric, but I don't think anyone got it quite as wrong as Lotus. You know, it's a brand synonymous with lightweight analog driving thrills, and it should have kept that flame alive for as long as possible, even alongside building electric cars. Instead, Lotus went early.
This is the last internal combustion engine car that Lotus will ever produce.
In 2023, it announced it would lead the electrification wave among global luxury automakers as part of its Vision 80 strategy. It phased out the iconic Elise, and the Emira was due to go out of production in 2026, making it the last ever Lotus with an engine. But it's definitely 2026, and this is definitely a new Lotus Emira, and thankfully that plan is history. Now this car is not a reinvention of the Emira, really it's a detail polish to remind us that Lotus hasn't forgotten how to do what it does best, and that's make lightweight, highly engaging sports cars. The name tells us two things. Now one, it's a nod to legends like the Esprit Sport 300 and other sport models that followed. They gave us even more focused versions of cars that were already pretty focused in the first place. It also confirms this as the most powerful Emira yet, with 420 PS or 416 brake horsepower. That's up 16 brake horsepower on the Emira Turbo SE, and yet the Emira uses the smaller of the two engines it's previously been offered with. Rather than the V6 engine that we've seen in other Emiras, this flagship gets the Turbo 4 from Mercedes AMG. You get the 16 brake horsepower boost, revised gear shifts for the 8-speed dual clutch gearbox. It gets from 0 to 62 in 3.7 seconds and onto 124 in sub 13. But the Emira 420 Sport costs from £105,900. That's more than £16,000 more than the Turbo SE and a fraction more than an entry-level Porsche 911. So this engine really needs to deliver. I think it's fair to say that this engine is no musical instrument like a flat six or something more exotic. It's a 4-cylinder turbo. When you're kind of cruising about, it's a gritty, grainy sort of noise, not particularly inspiring at that point, but if you work the revs, got a titanium exhaust on this car. It does have a kind of attitude and focus and seriousness to it that I quite like actually. I'm in track mode as well, so we've got a little bit of extra theatre, we've got some pops and crackles on the over and nothing silly. So get that engine up to higher revs, maybe beyond 4,000 or 5,000. Gets quite an insistent sort of note to it, it's very urgent. Down to second gear. Flat to the floor, 2. Coming on boost now, about 2.6. Shift before that red line. Slightly soft gear shifts. Gear shifts could be sharper. The thing that I struggled with this car at the start was how quickly you run out of revs. So red line is 7,000 RPM, but it gets through its ratios pretty quickly, especially in the lower gears. And if you don't shift promptly enough, it's just like a brief pause where it doesn't like hitting the limiter. It's like it's clearing its throat. So I've learned to drive around that now and actually work the mid-range. And it is very, very effective at getting this car down the road. Whee! Whatever you think of a £100,000 4-cylinder Emira, the engine has always been a means to an end in a Lotus, not the core of the experience. Really, the magic lies with the handling and the steering. The 420 Sport sits 5mm lower than standard with a new fixed Bilstein damper setup, plus there's revised geometry and what's described as a more connected driving experience. Our car also gets the Lotus lightweight handling pack, so that takes 25 kilos off the curb weight, taking it down to 1430. adds 25 kilos of downforce, and you also get the two-way Multimatic spool valve dampers. It adds 13 grand to the price. For the weight saving, the big items are the titanium exhaust, that saves 9 kilos. We've got forged alloy wheels, which are another 4. And then we've got the carbon tailgate, which saves another 5 kilos. Also, it's a nice nod to the 1980 Esprit Turbo. The seats are good, they're quite firm. I think they could drop quite a lot lower actually. I'd want to sit a bit lower, but generally I think the driving position is pretty good. Really nice view out over this landscape here as we flat over this moorland. Just seeing the peaks of the wings, which really help to place this car. The steering wheel feels really nice in your hands as well, nice and slim rim. The steering feels heavier than I remember in the first Emira I drove. I don't know if that's because it's been lowered slightly. It takes a little bit more force to turn it. At low speeds on these Multimatic dampers, the secondary ride is pretty tough actually. I've checked and we're definitely in the Lotus recommended road settings. I might want to soften them off a little bit more because it feels like a fast road track setting. Now we've got more speed under the wheels and it's actually soaking up the bumps really well. The compression is really impressive. The way this car flows across this landscape is really astonishing actually. It's got a load of feel, as you'd expect. It's very precise, gives me real faith to sort of point the nose in, carry the speed. So we'll brake into that, roll a lot of speed in, doesn't understeer, tweak it in, little bit of rotation but hardly any. On a tricky landscape like this, when perhaps something that's maybe too stiff will be getting bounced around, this is going to show up a lot of much faster things I think. When I first tried the brakes, lower speed, they felt difficult to modulate. Again, a little bit like the ride, they kind of come to you, they make more sense as you step up the pace. Into them now, bleed off, turn in, loads of front end bite, there's no understeer here. This car's got way more grip than it has power, so you just have to use as much of the chassis as you can, and even then, feels like there's a load still in reserve. I think one of my criticisms of the first Emira was that, you know, when we tested it against the Cayman, was that it wasn't quite as alive, it didn't feel as adjustable. And I think this car, you have got that, but the lateral grip it can hold is astonishing. It's rediscovered that balance, I think. But is this the best Lotus Emira? If you're enjoying our videos and want more of car, it's well worth subscribing to our magazine. Every month we deliver the most in-depth features on the latest and greatest cars, stories of our adventures spanning the globe, and cut through the noise to give you the inside line. By subscribing, you'll save money on shop prices, never miss an issue, and enjoy delivery right to your door, which is free if you're in the UK. Simply visit greatmagazines.co.uk/car to check out our latest offers. A few years ago, Lotus told us it was done with internal combustion, but I'm so glad they pushed back on that deadline, because cars like this are exactly what it does best. You forget going early, needs to keep making cars like the Emira for as long as it possibly can. I think this car is fantastic, I really do. I think we can safely say that this is the best Lotus Emira. But what do you think? Let us know below in the comments.